Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking, coming to you with another video review of a board game. Well, technically this isn't a board game, it's a card game. The game in question is called Smashup. This is a game that was released at Gen Con last August? Yeah, August. I was able to play it there. I obviously got a copy of it. It's one of the games that it was kind of a big hit at Gen Con. We've been around the whole idea of the deck building game for a while now. Obviously Dominion is the one that a lot of people think of as far as when people say deck building, they think of that. And also, obviously, there's other games out there as well, such as Thunderstone and Ascension and so on and so forth. And so, the deck building genre has grown and grown and grown. And to be honest, I've gotten a little bored with the whole thing. I mean, Dominion remains to be a very, very good game, but if I'm going to play Dominion, I don't need all 17,000 expansions and what have you. I play with the base game and Intrigue, and that's it. Thunderstone Advance totally revitalized Thunderstone, and if you were a big fan of Thunderstone, I would strongly suggest checking that game out as well. But same thing, though. Thunderstone got kind of way too big and a lot of stuff going on, and so the whole idea of a card game, to me anyway, is that it's quick and it's fast and it's easy, but there's a lot of depth to it to keep you coming back. And so when I heard about Smashup, I didn't know what to think. The whole premise of the game is that there are several different decks of cards included with the game. And each one of those decks is represented by a certain type of theme, whether it's dinosaurs or pirates or zombies or ninjas, so there's that very iconic geek references that you probably are well aware of if you're watching this video. And the idea is that you're able to take, each person gets two of these decks and they, shuffle them together. And hopefully, their pirate zombies or their robot dinosaurs are able to be better than, somebody else's trickster ninjas, if you will. And they're able to win the game. And you win the game by attacking bases, which are basically another card that's put on the table that have certain strengths and powers. And you have to defeat those bases, then you earn points depending on how well you did in the defeating of that base. Now, that's a real general overview as far as how the game is played, and I, of course, am going to show you exactly how the game is played. But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what you're going to be looking at, and maybe just how this really isn't a deck building game, but as I'm explaining the rules, you probably are going to be able to go ahead and look at that and say, oh, okay, I can kind of see, some of the same aspects of that deck building genre that has become very, very popular. And it seems like there's a brand new deck building game coming out every month or so. But anyway, it's from AEG. It's for 2 to 4 people. It's called Smashup, and alright, teaching you how to play Smashup would be really, really easy, actually. Especially if you've ever played any kind of a card game that deals with a deck building type of mechanic. These are the 8 different factions that you get with the base game. Ninjas, aliens, wizards, tricksters, dinosaurs, pirates, robots, and zombies. Each one of these decks, the back looks exactly the same. Like so. To begin the game, you determine, however you're going to determine how each person is going to pick 2 of these decks. You can do it by drafting, you can do it by, anything really. You could have arm wrestling matches to determine who gets to. What we usually do with our group is that we do it randomly, just due to the fact that some people have factions that they really, really like, and that they're really accustomed to kind of even everything out, we just randomly, we put all 8 decks out and we just each grab 2 and then that's what you get. But anyway, regardless, let's just say I got dinosaur wizards or whatever. We'll just move these off to the side here. And to begin the game, you take both of these decks of cards, and you'll shuffle them together. And after you've shuffled them together a certain number of times, like just to make sure that they are well shuffled. That was a really, really horrible shuffle. Let me try that again. There we go. So you have that. You get to draw 5 cards, which is your opening deck hand, and then you look at what you got. In this case, I have these. You notice that some of these cards have a number on the top left. Those are minions. Minions are what you use to attack and crush bases, which I'll explain in just a second. And there's also these actions. And actions just basically, choose one of your minions on a base, destroy a minion there with less power than yours. It's just an action you do. Play on a base, ongoing, your minions here are not affected by other players' actions. So it's just, and then you notice also that the things, these are the powers, so like the Laseratops has a 4, destroy a minion of power 2 or less in this bank. So the certain cards, unless they say ongoing, what happens is that ability happens when they're played, then it isn't referred to again. But if it's an ongoing situation, that particular power maintains. Then, this deck, as you can see, has a blue background. This is your bases deck. You will start off the game by shuffling these up. Depending on how many people are playing, you will take a number of these plus 1 per player. So if you're playing a 4-player game, you'd have 5 bases. 5. You place these out in front of everybody, but I'll just let you see one. The number up here is the power of the minions that have to be played on this particular base for it to be broken or destroyed, at which point you will divvy up the point totals for it. Also, each base will have a little text on here that affects it. So after each time a minion is played here, its owner may play an extra minion of power 2 or less. So it's just one of those little extra things. Let's look at this one. The Tar Pits. After each time a minion is destroyed here, it's placed at the bottom of its owner's deck. So different things that have different powers that are gained. So you place those out for everybody to see. Depending on whose turn it is, that particular person will make their choices. You get to play 1 card, 1 minion, I should say, and 1 action on your turn. And if certain powers and abilities allow you to do more, that's great, but sometimes you won't have that ability. So you don't have to do both. You can do nothing if you want. But, so on this particular one, let's just go ahead and we're going to place this War Raptor on that home world, because that allows me to play another minion of power 2 or less. So then this is a Neophyte, and this allows me to reveal the top card of my deck. If it's an action, I may place it in your hand to play, or play it as an extra action, otherwise turn it at the top of your deck. So I get to play another one, so I do that. Here's my deck. I'll draw another one. It's an action! It says play an extra minion. Well, I could just do no other action if I wanted to, so that's awesome. Let's go ahead and place Laseratops on the mothership, and now because I did that, that's my action. I can play another action due to that power the Neophyte gave me. So let's just go ahead, and because I want to be able to protect my guys on this one, I'll play Wildlife Preserve there. And that means now those are protected. Now I get to draw 2 cards. You always get to draw 2 cards, and add those to my hand. Well, next round I've just got a bunch of actions, so I better hope I get something cool to happen. And then I would check and see if any of these bases had been destroyed because the power is higher. Well, obviously it isn't because nobody else has played, but if they had, let's just say those people allowed me to destroy the homeworld, the person that has the most power as far as the minions are in that particular location would earn 4 points, the next highest power total would earn 2, and the last would earn 1. And so you divvy up those points among everybody else, and then you move forward. And then you go on to the next person's turn. Now, interestingly, some bases, and I'll see if I can, like here's the Jungle Oasis. If you destroy that, the first person gets 2, everybody else gets nothing. And there's even some bases, like the Ninja Dojo, you can see 2 to the first player, 3 to the second player, and 2 to the third player. So actually the person that comes in second actually gets points. Play continues until somebody earns 15 points. Once somebody's earned 15 points from destroying the bases, they win the game. That's how you play Smashup. It's like other card games that have cards that do other powers and do other powers. There's a lot more to it than just the really basic rule set. It's one of those simple rule set but deep games that I have really, really enjoyed. And this one is no different. I've enjoyed my games of Smash Up. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me tell you exactly what I think about this game. All right. I actually have friends that are really, really horrible at shuffling, so when I watch them shuffle and play this game, I get really, I see them like destroying the cards. You know, those people that like feel like they have to bend the entire card back each time they shuffle and things like that, you know? So like when they're doing their bridge, you actually almost can see the two sides of the card meet in the back as they're shuffling. You're just like, hey dude, this isn't like a 97-cent deck of Hoyle poker cards. Could you just lay off just a little bit? But anyway, so there you go. That's how you play the game. What do I think? Well, I'll tell you the truth. I really, really wanted to like this game a lot, and I think this game has a lot going for it. The thing about card games, especially card games in which you have an aspect where you're kind of building something together. Now, this isn't like a deck builder per se, because you're not buying cards and putting in your deck and so on and so forth. But you are just taking, two separate decks of cards, jamming them together, and then so you're drawing a certain number. So, I mean, the mechanic is fairly the same. The thing about games, I want card games to be fast. And I want card games to be, not a lot of downtime. Because they're cards. I mean, if I'm playing a big, huge board game and there's 7,000 bits out there, and I'm okay with having a little downtime as I'm waiting for it to come around. But if all I've got is like 4 or 5 cards in my hand, and I'm waiting for somebody to do their turn, I want them to do their turn and be done with it. I don't want to sit here and be waiting forever while they're having that. And and this is me, but I mean, the problem I have is that a lot of times it just seems like this is one of those games where it's like, so this card does this, so then I get to go ahead and take that off that base, and I get to adjust these 2 minions over here, and I place them over here. And now I get to go through my entire discard while I look for the one card that I need, and there that is, so I'll place that there, which then changes this. And I'm just like, oh, come on, I just want to play my pirates, okay? Come on, let's do this. And now, I mean, that's a little bit of an exaggeration to prove a point, but I mean, I kind of got that feeling. This game and the theme makes me think filler, and it makes me think fast and dirty. Because you're just playing cards and you're blowing up things, and you're trying to take things out. But the problem is, especially when you get up to 4 players, is that it just, every single turn, each person has like an amalgamation of abilities that happen. And then a lot of times other people, if you like destroy one of their cards, then they have an ability that gets enacted, and then that's a chain reaction to somebody else's ability. And so you can see where a single turn just can turn into just this death march as you're just waiting to get through it all. And unfortunately, the game maybe just hangs out too long. I do like the different themes, and I do like the fact that I know I was told a few of the other, and if you've checked the news from AEG Games, you like the new factions that are coming out, like ghosts and things like that. I mean, it sounds really cool, and I really dig the new ideas that they're coming out with. And don't get me wrong, the game is fun, I think. But what I had a problem with is I went into it and I thought it was going to be something else, and everything about it presented itself as being what I thought it was going to be, and then it just turned out to be nothing like what I thought it was going to be, and so that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something where I think there's a little bit of a misdirection there, and I was a little bit ultimately disappointed in the game. I don't like the fact that there's no scoring track or anything like that. I mean, it's easily remedied. You just take out a piece of paper and you write down how many points each person's getting. Or you could give each person a 20-sided die and they could just keep track of their own points like that. But I mean, the card. I mean, obviously, the whole point is that AEG is doing really, really cool things with their inserts now. And I mean, this is a smaller than normal box. This isn't like one of those normal bigger boxes you see with Thunderstone. And so you can see they obviously have a lot more room for a lot more cards and a lot more different factions that are probably going to be made. But I wish they had just included 4 pieces of wood for each person's, 4 different color, and then like a scoring track that went up to 50. I mean, that would have been nothing. And maybe that's something they'll have with the expansion. And admittedly, I'm nitpicking at that point. Oh, there wasn't a scoring track. The game stinks. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just one of those things where I think I would have liked the game more if it just had been on there, instead of like trying to say, did you have 10 points or 11 points? Did you have 12 points? Well, how many points did you have? That sort of thing. I guess, I think the game is very well balanced, especially once people learn how each of the different factions works. I do think that the game is a heck of a lot more fun if you randomly draw which factions each person gets, instead of like drafting them. I mean, but because that's fun, because people will start to learn different strategies and so on and so forth. Where like just say alien zombies is just they're like they know how those cards interact and they know how to work them together to be successful. So I like it when you're able to spin people a little bit. And make them, like think on their feet, and put them into a situation where maybe they're not as comfortable with the factions they have. All in all, the game is fun. It is. It just lasts a little bit too long, which is easily remedied. You can just play up to 10 instead of 15. And I do think that with 4 people, it can bog down a bit. I think 3 people is the sweet spot. I'm not a big fan of 2-player games just because, well, I always have more than 2 people around. But I think 3 people, the game still moves pretty quickly, and there isn't a lot of downtime, as far as the interactions and everything with each other. But it's a highly competitive game. The cards themselves are kind of funny, and the artwork's really nice, and it has a really good presentation. And I heartily enjoy the game, and it's super cheap too. I mean, you can pick it up online for like $20-25, something like that, and you can only imagine the expansions are going to be cheap as well. And I think I really look forward to what AEG is going to do in the future, because I think the sky's the limit as far as where they're going to take the game and what they're going to add to it. So there you go. Smashup, it's out. Pick it up if you think it's something you want to play, or maybe you can bogart somebody else's copy and give it a whirl and decide whether or not it's right for you. But anyway, there you go. Until next time, this is Undead Viking. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions or comments, as always, leave them below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability as quickly as I am able. Thank you again, and you have yourself a great day. I'll see you at the next review.